Hi, everyone, and welcome. Today marks the commencement of the Graceful Freedom Pathways Summit, and we are so delighted to welcome with us the esteemed Pradip Mukherji, author of Message from God. And he is the keynote presentation. So brace yourself for a keynote experience that will ignite your soul and set the stage for the profound wisdom that awaits. Welcome, everyone.
Pradip Mukherji, fondly known as Pradip Sir, a human born to clarify and connect humanity to the true God and pave the way for the souls to go back home. He's a human whom God chose to deliver his message, a message that humanity, a clarity of what God is and what God is not, a message that gave humanity a conscious choice for the first time, a choice to choose God, to be with God, to be healed by God, and to be guided by God. Welcome to the Graceful Freedom Pathway Summit, sir. We are so honored that you are with all of us today and talking about pathways to freedom through the grace of God. Welcome, sir. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Pathway to freedom through the grace of God. That was the theme that was given to me. And I was told that I might be speaking to a group of coaches, to a group of healers, and a group of seekers. So basically, my work in the beginning was about sending the souls back home. Now, this is a very weird concept as to why do they need to go home and how can a human facilitate that? So that part of it I will not go into, because that is a work which lasted over 8 years, and there were many things that happened in those 8 years. And eventually the job was done. When the job got completed, that was when God told to me that now we will work for the humans. So what is it about the humans that God was interested in? Basically, it was about pain and suffering. Now, pain, not every human has, or even if they have, it doesn't last 24/7, 365 days. Many of us, most of the time, are quite okay having no pain in our body. But suffering is one thing that humans have perpetually. Every human throughout their life, 24/7 and 365 days. Question is, how then can we not really perceive our suffering? Because most people will say, no, I don't suffer. I'm perfectly all right. I'm perfectly normal. I'm perfectly sane. I'm able to deal with my life. I'm able to deal with all the challenges. I'm able to deal with all the ups and downs. I don't suffer. They have a greater threshold. And in that threshold, they are able to deal with and create solutions for their life. But does that mean that they don't suffer? The answer is no, they do suffer. Certain suffering are totally obvious. Like a pain that one cannot deal with turns into suffering. But there are suffering which is not really painful, and yet they are there. They are in the background. How do they show up in our life? That is the question. And the way they show up in our life is when you are wanting something or when you are scared of something. Two things. Either you are wanting or you are scared. Now, what are you wanting? You are wanting more, better, different. You are wanting something more than what you have. You are wanting something better than what you have. and you are wanting something different from what you have. And if these three things are in your life, that itself shows that you are suffering. And every human being has these three things. So basically, humans can be categorized into three big groups. Number one, they are materialistic. Number two, they are religious. And number three, they are spiritual. Every materialistic person is wanting more, better, different. So that is their suffering. What is it that the religious person is wanting? Religious person, of course, has their suffering from which they are praying to their so-called God. But the religion person also is wanting to go back to heaven, or rather go to heaven, not go back, go to heaven, or an afterlife that is much better than what they are currently living. And the spiritual people, they are like fed up with their current life and they say, we do not want to take birth again. We want to finish this cycle of birth and death. And so we will do everything that we need to do in order to make this our last life. So each of these group people are suffering. And if they are suffering, then the next point that comes is, what is it that we can do? Now, somewhere the scriptures have glorified suffering. They said it is needed to make us strong. Sometimes they say that it is needed to connect us with God. Sometimes they say it is needed to keep us awake, otherwise we will go into sleep. Now, these are various explanations or various arguments being given as to why we should have suffering in our life. So some people say suffering is beautiful, but for suffering, we will not even feel that we are alive. But that's not true. These are all the ways in which we are fooling ourselves. Each one of those statements I said is nothing but about fooling ourselves. Basically, we are not able to deal with our suffering, and this is the way we are consoling that suffering is good, suffering connects us with God, suffering keeps us aware, suffering makes us grow, suffering enhances and builds up our mental muscles or physical muscles. So these are the ways in which we keep on telling ourselves that let suffering be in our life. Basically, what we are saying is we do not know how to deal with our suffering.
So it's almost like we are glorifying suffering.
We need to glorify it in order to be with it. And having no choice, this is the best option that we have in order to deal with our suffering. And so this is one part. The other part is now the healers come into the picture, the coaches come into the picture. Coaches allows us to cope with suffering. Healers try to heal our suffering. These are the two different approaches the coaches and the healers have. One allows us to cope with it, thereby creating greater threshold of pain and suffering, so that we can operate in a state of sanity within our suffering. And the healers are like they're trying to find out whether it is a past life issue, whether it is an inner child issue, whether it is some kind of attacks, whether it is some kind of stuff we have taken on from others. So this is how the healers are dealing with it. So these are the two different approach that we have in dealing with our suffering. And in this, there is one more approach which currently has opened up. It was not available up till now. Because up till now, God was not with the humans. It is for the first time since the creation began, right from the beginning, that we have now another option, that can we bring God into our life in order that God does something with our suffering. Yes, there is a way to bring God into our life. But before we bring God into our life, the first thing that becomes essential is for us to know that what we call God, what we think God is, what we assume God to be, whether it is in our temples, mosques, and churches, or whether it is within us, is not God or are not God. So, up till now, we thought that God is either in the temples, mosques, or churches, or we thought God is within us. Now, this temple basically means outside of us. Whether you attribute that to a place or to above, both are like, that is where God is outside of us. So humans assumed God is outside of us, and humans assumed God is within them. And there was no third alternative that the humans ever assumed that God can be. Humans never knew even God. Humans did not know who God is. Humans came to know about God through their scriptures, through their what I would call the religious agents. You might call them the priests, you might call them the pandits, you might call them the mullahs, you might call them the rabbis or anything. So that's how the humans came to know that there is God. And then the scriptures gave some description. But generally, every description that the scriptures gave was that God is benevolent, God is kind, God is generous, God provides, God takes care of us. If we pray to God, God listens and does whatever needs to be done. These are some of the broad statements which is common to all religions. And humans assumed God to be that. Unfortunately for me, I found God to be different. Exactly the opposite of what have been told in the scriptures.
So how
My
do
business. Yes, Sonal.
I am asking, like, how do you know who God is, like who true God is? Because you are saying that God is not like like we worship in religion. He is not the God. So then who the God is, and how can you be so sure that the God you know is really the God?
Okay. So, my journey with God started not because I was interested in God, not because I wanted God in my life, not because I never was a religious person, I never was a spiritual person. My parents never gave me God by default. My parents never took me to any place of worship. My parents never told me that I should lean on God, pray to God, talk with God. All these things were never given to me. And so I do not have any childhood conditioning or any teenage conditioning around God. The way I was brought up was in a very scientific mindset. And the scientific mindset says never believe anything. It says never assume anything. It says unless you have some kind of proof, some kind of confirmation, you must not accept anything. Now, that is the mindset in which I have been throughout my life. And in this mindset, one day God not showed up, but rather talked with me. I have never seen God, so I cannot say God showed up. So, in that mindset, one day God came and God said, I have to work with God. And by that time, I had also worked with the deities for over 7 years. So even they showed up. And it was interesting for me to know these deities, to know these masters, whom we called ascended masters, to know these angels, to know all the other ones. So I knew a part of this thing called the non-physical dimension, the entities, the demons, the satanic creatures, beings, whatever we call them. Because I had worked with them, I had tried to take them out of the human domain, and all these things I had played for 7 years. But when God came to me, I said that I cannot really check whether you are God or not. But let's assume you are God and let's start the work. And that is how I started work with God in total disbelief. I never accepted God to be God. In fact, it was to that extent that I was not even respectful towards God. I would talk about God in such a language which was really disrespectful. Not only I never had any reverence for God, I was not even respectful for God. Of course, then God said, at least if you can't have reverence, don't at least be disrespectful. That's when I started changing my attitude towards God. But that was the way my journey started with God. For 5 years, I did not accept God to be God. And the only reason that I ultimately accepted God to be God was only this, that everyone who was not God showed up in my life for 5 years, and they played with me. They insisted that I stop working for God. They insisted that if I don't stop, they will damage me, and they did damage me. They insisted that they will create all kind of problems for me, and they did create all kind of problems for me. So I was interacting with everyone who is not God right from top to bottom. And that's how I knew that whole gamut of beings who are not God. And indirectly, I came to know, okay, if these are not God, what is now left is God. That is how actually I came to know about God. And that is how, after over 5 years of work with God, finally I accepted God in my life.
So can we say that you received grace of God because he started talking to you?
Grace of God was there, because without grace of God, it was not possible for me to do the work that I was doing, because the whole universe was against me. So at one end, it was that whole universe, and at the other end, it was just me and God. So under these circumstances, definitely grace of God was with me.
So how, like, is there a way like other humans can receive grace of God?
Yes, other humans can receive grace of God by choosing God. So basically, you have to understand that there are only two camps. There is no third camp. And one is the camp of God. Another is the camp of what we call as the king of this multiverse. And so you are by default born into this camp of the king. You are by default interacting either with the king or someone in the hierarchy of the king. You are sourced by the king. Someone wrote that, how do I talk with God? I'll come to that But let me complete this. So you do not have to choose the king. You only have to choose God. And how do you choose God? The first way to choose God is you take the mantra of God. The second way to choose God is you talk with the book to the book. The third way to choose God is you complete the book and practice the protocols given in the back of the book. The fourth way to choose God is we actually are distributing certain healing cards or visiting cards or bookmarks in which we say that if you talk with this bookmark or this card, you are connecting with God in that moment, and God will do what God needs to do. So these are the ways we generally choose God. And I was asked, how do I talk with God? Well, it's very simple. I ask the question and I answer my questions. So people actually said, what if you are hallucinating? What if you are delusional? What if you are fooling yourself? Or some entity is fooling you, or some deity is fooling you. And the answer to that is I have a method to cross-check, a method that I call as biofeedback, which is very common thing in this world. One of the biofeedback that I use is muscle testing. So using my muscle testing, I have sharpened my senses to understand whether I'm answering those questions. I means my mind, or someone beyond my mind is answering that question. And if someone beyond my mind is answering that question, is it coming from anyone from king to the domain of the king, or it is coming from God? So over a period of years, I have kind of mastered this art of kind of discriminating and discerning how to know whether the answers are coming from God or not. I think there are huge questions coming, but I am not able to read them even. So someone has to keep track.
So we
And
take the questions by the end. So we will just
okay,
keep on asking you.
yeah,
And
I think
please note
let
that
me
happy.
complete the pathway to freedom at least,
Yes,
with the
exactly.
grace
So
of
having
God.
heard, yes, so I have a question for you. So having said that, your title itself says Pathways to Freedom. So what freedom exactly you're talking about? What is this freedom?
The freedom that I'm talking about basically is the freedom from our suffering. But how does this freedom show up? The healers will say, we will do inner child healing, we'll do past life healing, we will do your attacks healing, we will do something else. Yeah, that is a good thing to really become free from certain aspects of our suffering. But when you come to God, you actually have a different way that freedom shows up. And the way that freedom shows up with God is basically your karmic baggage starts disintegrating or diluting or getting neutralized. When this karmic baggage starts getting neutralized, one of the things that you start noticing is your attachment and your aversions with people starts coming down. The second thing that happens is basically when you connect with God, you start receiving consciousness from God. And when consciousness comes into you, what happens is you then start wanting less and less in life. I told you that suffering is because you're wanting more and more, better, different. When this starts going down, automatically your suffering starts coming down. But how does it come down? Not because of any inner child or past life healing. It is happening because of the consciousness of God. And when the consciousness of God comes in, now you are actually more wanting to be with God rather than wanting to be with your religious deities, religious gods, or wanting to be with your inner God through your spiritual seeking. So this is the way that freedom shows up when you are with God. Now, let me clarify here because I use the word consciousness.
Yeah.
Now, you have to understand this, that there is no consciousness in the domain of the king. In the domain of the king, everything is mind. But spiritual people will tell me, no, no, no. When the mind gets silenced, consciousness starts coming into the forefront. We have now more consciousness. No, you are still in the mind. It is just that earlier you were in a talking mind, now, or a chattering mind, and now you are in a silent mind. Silent mind does not mean consciousness is evolving. Just because you're detached, it doesn't mean your consciousness is evolving. Just because you have become an observer, it doesn't mean your consciousness is evolving. Just because you feel your vibration is going up or you are becoming a more pure being, it doesn't mean your consciousness is evolving. There is no such thing as consciousness within the domain of the king. What there is in the Hindu language, it is known as Sat Chit Anand. 3 words. Sat means truth. Chit means consciousness. Anand means bliss. Now, truth is that which is considered to be existential. If it is not existential, it is not truth. If it is changing, it is not truth. If it has mortality, it is not truth. So everything in this universe basically dies, including the gods of every religion. Even they die. That means even they are not truth. So that is the first thing. So only thing which is true in this universe is souls, which never die. The second word is chit. Now chit basically they assume to be consciousness. No, the chit is mind. That was a wrong assumption that wasn't done in the interpretation. Anand is, yes, Anand means bliss. Now what happens is we have multiple energy bodies. If your first energy body gets activated, you are in a place of no mind, you are in a place of no wanting, no desires, you are in a place of silence, you are in a place of becoming an observer, you are in a place of you are not entangling with the world, you are in a place of you are just distancing yourself. We call that detachment. That is what happens if your first body gets activated. If your second body, which is the mental body, gets activated, you are now in a place of bliss. What happens if you are in a place of bliss? You are no more interested in the world. You go deep inside you. You are so content within yourself. You want nothing. You are almost like closing your eyes, but you are not asleep. You are still. For you, just sitting is enough. Just sitting on the chair, sitting on the floor, sitting on the bed is enough. No work really calls you. You do not want to engage with the world. These are the two states. And when you do not want to engage with the world, that is when you actually go beyond the cycle of life and death. But these are not states of higher consciousness. They are just different mindsets. What does consciousness mean? It just means one thing. It just means that God is 100% consciousness. And if you have anything from God, which we call as the grace of God, that is consciousness. And that is what comes to you when you connect with God, when you talk with God, when you be with God, when you do the mantra of God, when you read the book of God, when you talk to the book, all these things become available to you. And that is what now takes you towards freedom. So you can move towards freedom through your mind, and you can move towards freedom through God. But even if you move towards freedom through your mind, you still will not go beyond suffering. Why? Because even the king is suffering. And your mind is nothing but a portion of the king. Until and unless you know how the king is suffering, you will not know how you can become free from your suffering. God doesn't suffer, king suffers. And when I'm talking about the king, I make it very clear. This king is known as the Allah by the Muslims. This king is known as the Jehovah by the Jewish community. And this king is known as the Lord or the Father by the Christians. Within the Hindus, he is known as Kal Brahm, he is known as Jyoti Niranjan. He has many other names. He is known as Ahura Mazda within the Parsi community. So when I'm talking about the king, you now have an idea of whom I am referring to through your culture and through your religion. And this one is immortal. This one dies. This one is suffering. This one is the fallen god. In spite of the fact he talks about other fallen gods, this one himself is a fallen god. And this one cannot really free you from your suffering totally. And that's why I know, because I know the king the way I know the back of my hand. I cannot say like that about God. I hardly know God. I only know what God does. That I know. But I don't know God. But king I know. Because I have been interacting with the king through almost now 8 years. So I know the king very well, and I know everyone down the hierarchy also. And that's why I can speak with so much of authenticity, so much of confidence, no hesitation in my voice. Nowhere you will find anything which kind of feels that I am not sure. I am so sure of everything because I have encountered them all, dealt with them, been kind of beaten by them, and also I have recovered from all their beatings. So coming back to pathway to freedom through the grace of God, well, you have two choices, the king and God. King you already know. Your whole life is about being with the king. God, most of you do not know, those who are new in this podcast. You can find out about God by either taking the mantra or by reading the book, talking to the book, talking to the cards, doing the protocol at the end of the book. So that is in brief. Now I will welcome the questions.
Sir, can you talk about the levels of freedom?
Levels of freedom is a subject that really is no more relevant because all those levels are within the domain of the king. And I do not anymore focus on those levels of freedom, how to take you from one level to another level to another level. I'm just now purely my focus is for those who are interested, connect with God, be with God, experience the grace of God.
So can you
Now,
say,
when I say experience the grace of God, let me tell you one thing. Let me clarify why it's saying internet no connection. Can you listen to me?
Yes, sir, we can.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, then I'll continue. What was I saying?
Grace of God.
Okay, yes, got it. Now, grace of God, you have to understand. God does not give anything within your expectations. And this is the biggest disappointment that people have with God. Because people go to God with certain expectations. What are the expectations? I don't have a job, please give me a job. I cannot get married, get me married. I cannot get a divorce, get me a divorce. My child is not getting admission, please get the admission. My business is going down, please bring my business up. I'm not getting a visa. Now, these are all the worldly things with which people go to God. And I'm not saying don't go with them, but do not expect God to reciprocate, to give you what you are wanting. God, whatever God gives is something very fundamental, something very unique, something very benevolent, something very graceful. And over a period of 1 month, you will start coming to know how the grace of God is changing your life. And almost the change will be like you won't be even able to tell people how something has shifted, but you will be thankful that you came to God. This is the way God works. But in the short term, no, I had a problem and I said to God and nothing happened to me. So I don't think I am going to God. This will not work. And that's why we say, give 30 days to be with God. Do the mantra for 30 days. Speak to God for 30 days. Let God do whatever God does to you for 30 days. At the end of the 30 days, create the report card for God. And in these 30 days, we do not ask you to believe God. We do not ask you to accept God. We tell you that totally be a skeptic, totally be in doubt, totally be in I do not believe, and do all these things mechanically. Because sometimes people say, oh, you know what? Our subconscious mind can create all these things. Yes, what they are saying is true. Even the subconscious mind can create things, but it will not. Subconscious mind creates what we want. I am telling you, most of the things that will come to you or happen to you will not be what you want. So it is not your subconscious mind delivering. It will be very subtle and almost you are going to miss. That's why let 30 days be with God completely and then decide whether you want to go for next month and onwards with God or drop God. So that was about the grace of God.
So now we open
Question.
up for questions. So if you would like to ask questions, just raise your hands on Zoom and we will unmute you. So I'm going to unmute Trineshwaras. Yes, please unmute yourself and talk.
Yeah, thank you very much. In fact, I had sent my question on the WhatsApp, and Pradip sir has already answered it. Thanks.
Okay, great. Thank you. Keshav had a question. Please unmute yourself and ask. Yes.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
सर आत्मबोध कैसे कर सकते हैं?
Can you speak in English?
Yeah, how to do self-realization?
If I answer to you in English, you are able to understand?
Yes, I will be able to.
Okay. You asked me how to have self-realization.
Yes, self-realization and how to achieve enlightenment.
How to achieve enlightenment. Okay, let me
Yes.
did you read my book?
No, sir, not yet.
Okay, fine. If you would have read my book, it would have been easier for you to understand what I'm saying. But just listen now and read the book later if you want to.
Sir,
It
yes.
is not possible to achieve self-realization or to become enlightened through any kind of spiritual practices. Enlightenment or self-realization only happens if it is written in your storyline. It is already decided prior to your birth whether you are going to achieve self-realization or not. Second thing is, if you are meant to achieve enlightenment or self-realization, it will not happen because of what you do, but it will be delivered to you. How do they deliver it? They deliver first the activation of your astral body, which is your first energy body, and then they deliver the activation of the second energy body, which is known as the mental energy body. When two bodies are activated, now you are self-realized. Now you are enlightened. So speaking very briefly, you cannot do it. You are wasting your time if you are trying to do it. If anyone has told you that it is possible to become enlightened, they have misguided you. It is written or it is not written. If it is written, it will be delivered. And if it is not written, no matter how much you try, nothing is going to happen. So that is my short answer.
Thank you, sir. Just one thing to add to
Yes.
this, just one further query. Sir, that means everything is already destined in our life.
Yes, everything is already destined.
We are just playing a role which is already written. We can't change anything.
Exactly. Actually, you are not living. There are many beings all around you who are ensuring that you go through the script of the story, who are ensuring that you behave just the way they want you to behave, who are ensuring that even if you deviate from the script, they bring you back within the script. There is nothing, because all your thoughts, feelings, and emotions are not yours. They are put into you. All the actions you take by virtue of your nature, they decided how your nature will be. So nothing is in your hand. We are only puppets going through the so-called storyline.
I want to know how the sons of God can go against God. How the misbehave son of gods.
How the sons of God can go against God, that part I do not know, because I do not know what happened in the domain of God. I only know the work
No,
that I
because
did in this domain, and I know how the sons of God are behaving in this domain. Why
no,
they
Sir,
became
just
like
one
that, I
question.
do not know.
one more thing. It must be with the free will, and as you say, free will is free will is not only illusion. Is it done
Yes,
by the
free will is an illusion.
so what we think we can do is only a myth.
The storyline convinces us that there is free will, because if the storyline doesn't convince us like that, we will not act the way we are acting in our day-to-day living.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question.
Yes, sir. Can I ask?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I'm saying you.
You had said that freedom or salvation can be achieved if, or a person would know that he is the selected one if he has the activation of the energy body and the mental body.
Yes.
Now, two occasions. Once in the 90s, it happened on its own, and and then it was a spiritual this thing and whatever. Anyway, late 90s, something went wrong, and I was waylaid. I was my for a few years. I went out of that path. Then again in 2018-19, I met a guide who put me on the path again. And I could say that, yes, I was in a state of bliss. But then again, he died and I lost my way. Recently, I was feeling for the last 6-7 months that, I need to meet someone to guide me as to, how to go about it again, you know. So that was the journey I had. That was the experience I had.
Okay. So what is the question now you have?
question is, I've been meditating, and you spend 1 hour, 1.5 hours, or whatever time you can spend to get into that state of bliss, which I'm re-experiencing now. Now, in your case, you just said do the mantra for 20-21 times, and that's it. If you have the time, you don't need to go into meditation or anything.
Yes.
Is that the correct way?
I'm not saying don't do meditation. All I'm saying is that that will be only a time pass. It will not deliver anything.
Okay. Other than feeling happy and feeling nice.
Yeah, that is right. It's just like if you take a pastry and eat it, it feels good in the mouth, but it doesn't deliver anything in time and space. So
Okay.
you can have
What
momentary experience.
what I did experience was I was under a lot of stress, business wise and even otherwise, and health issues were coming up. Then I came across this scientific person who was teaching the scientific method of meditation, not anything to do with the religion or anything. I followed that. Now I found that I was quite comfortable and
Then
relaxed.
continue with it.
Okay, right.
I'm
And do
not
this.
saying don't do it. Yes.
Okay, right.
Continue with
Thank
it
you.
and also continue with it and also do the mantra of God, and you will find that your need for meditation will go away.
All right. Oh, that's
Because
another
today
thing
it
which
is
last 2-3 days, I was in a duvida. कि वो करें, ये तो कर ही रहा हूं मैं, मंत्र तो कर ही रहा हूं. Is that the right thing to
both. Do
Okay.
everything.
All
Okay?
right. Fine. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, next, Nilofer.
Next is Anita Sachdeva. Please unmute yourself.
Hello, sir. Thank you.
Yes.
I had a question. So while we talk about living the storyline, who created the storyline for us?
Okay. The storyline was created by the souls. Now, when I say the word souls, it means not just one soul. It's a group of souls. Now, which souls were involved? The souls of your father, your parents, your siblings, your friends, your relatives, and all these souls came together and created a joint storyline. Storyline is never created for one person. It is always created for a group of persons. And if you go much detail, it is created for the whole of humanity. But different groups are again interacting with each other and connecting the storyline with each of the group and with each of the individuals. So it's a very complex process beyond our comprehension, beyond our understanding. But the answer is yes, it is the souls that create the storyline.
Okay. So so I didn't create it on my own, but it's the
No, you didn't, because you didn't
collectiveness.
exist. You didn't exist.
So I was made to exist.
Yeah.
Okay.
True.
All right. So if that's the story, this is one part, then how does the God's mantra and talking to the book help us if we cannot break the storyline? How does this support us?
God does not change the storyline. What God changes is your experience of life within the storyline.
Could you share more about that, the experience of life within the storyline, sir?
It's just that once your karmic baggage starts dropping, your storyline will continue because it is already pre-scripted. But your relationship with the people will start altering. You will stop making them wrong. You will stop making yourself to be right. You will then be more allowing. You will be a little more gentle. You will be a little more less pushy. So all these things will start showing up in you.
So what you're saying is that whatever is, so me being, or let's say somebody being pushy or not listening and all, that's not part of the storyline?
That is a part of the storyline, but that part will drop, but the events will continue. Because the story, if those events also drop, then other storylines are affected. So you will have to
I
go
see.
through the motion of the events. But your
Okay, so you
experience
go
of the
through.
events will alter.
All right, got it, got it. So the events continue, but the essence of the who you are within that event changes
Your experience of the event changes
because I am changing.
because your karmic baggage is getting diluted.
Through the
And you are
mantra.
having through the mantra, and you are also going to have the consciousness of God.
So through the consciousness of God, through the mantra, karmic baggage is dropping. So my response and the aspect of dealing with the event shifts as a result. So the event can continue and I can be happy.
I wouldn't bring the word happy. Don't bring the word happy. I'm not giving you hope of
Happy.
happiness.
So it's
All
more
I'm
like,
saying is it
go
will be
ahead.
better than what it is right now.
Understood, sir. Thank you for your time. I
Thank
appreciate it.
you. Thank
So
you.
there is a
Yes,
question
Nilofar.
which has come by chat. Since we are
Yes.
living in the universe of the king in order to live our lives, isn't it better if we learn the laws in this universe? For instance, is the law of attraction and manifestation actually work? Is there a way to use the laws in this universe to better our lives together with the mantra and God connection?
Try it. Because we are not asking you to drop anything. But eventually you will drop all those laws. Eventually you will realize that you cannot use the laws of the universe to alter your storyline. Within the storyline, the flexibility that you have, you might find something is shifting in your life because of the laws. But beyond that, you won't be able to do anything. You will be frustrated.
So
Next.
let me unmute someone, iPhone. I don't know who it is, but yeah, please unmute yourself and you can
May I
speak.
speak? Yes,
Please go
that's me,
ahead.
Shampa. Thank you, Pradip sir. I wanted to ask
Yes.
two things. First question is that I'm grateful for the knowledge you've brought in. And now that I choose God, is is there a retaliation that happens from the king's domain? I mean, do they put you into trouble, and how do you protect yourself from that?
Let me put it this way, that yes, certain retaliations do come. And it is now a matter of, will you be able to withstand those initial retaliations in order to be with God? For some people, the retaliations may be a little more. For some people, the retaliations are little less. For whom it is, how much, we do not know. But we have a structure called You Can Ask for Healing in the website, and we do take care of you when those things show up in your life.
Okay, because I suddenly am seeing some unnecessary health, this thing that is coming, and I've asked for healing, but that's what I was thinking, that where is this
We
coming
will
from?
respond. Did anyone write to you after you wrote?
No, I haven't seen that.
Okay, we will look into that tonight then.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes,
My
thank
second
you.
part of the question is that when we are delving into this, like I have also initiated my entire family with my two daughters and my husband, and we are doing the mantra every day, and we've read the book. And I was in a very deep spiritual path for over 20 years. And this book, as you have written, shook me up completely and the others. The entire belief system changed. So when you're in this matrix, as I heard you tell the others, there is no going on two boats, right? You cannot, like they say, you cannot put your feet on both boats and go. You have to choose one, isn't that right? You can't play the game and then be with God, and is there a way to manage this, or you have to be choosing God and then stick to that?
No, when you start the journey, for most people, God found that taking their both feet into the boat of God was difficult for them. So finally, God said, okay, keep your feet on both the boats, which means do whatever,
Okay.
everything that you are doing, and also do the mantra. And then after 1 month, see how it is. And then if you feel that there are some positive shifts happening experientially into your life, continue doing the mantra, and the everything that you have been doing in through your religion and your spirituality, they will go away. You wouldn't even want to do it. So let that time come. Let it
Okay.
drop organically.
Okay. Thank you
Okay?
so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
There is another question which is coming from the chat, and it's from Rajni. She says, how do we know who has souls and who doesn't have soul, only has a body?
You can know that through what we call as the biofeedback mechanism. Biofeedback mechanism, if you do not know, you can Google it, and it's very common thing. There are many teachers teaching you.
How do we experience God?
You will not be able to experience God. You will be able to experience the way your life shifts because of the grace of God. God you cannot experience. I have also not experienced God. I have not seen God. I have not heard God. I have not felt God. But I can cognize the answers coming from God and then cross-check it with my biofeedback system. And you can also do it like that. But what you will experience is the shift which shows up in your life when you are with God for a certain amount of time, but no direct experience of God.
Can you talk to God at will?
Yes, you can talk to God at will, but for that you will need to master the art of biofeedback. Otherwise, you will not be able to cross-check who is giving you the answers and how to get those answers.
So one question from Shalini Agarwal. Why do certain people attend healing from God while others do not? And is it connected to the very concept of the storyline?
Why do some people attend healing from God?
Yeah,
And
while
how
others
do they
do
take
not.
the healing from the people who are giving the God's healing?
No, sir. I think she's asking, why do some people get healed from God while
By God,
others
yeah.
don't?
Okay. Frankly speaking, this is one question for which even I don't have an answer. I do see that certain people get very fast results. I see certain people getting no results. I do see that some people are sometimes getting results and sometimes not getting results. When I ask God, God says only one thing: do not care for the results, just do the mantra for 1 month. Check the results after 1 month as to what is shifted in your life. And it will not be within your expectations. It will be in the way you are relating to life. That is where the shift will happen. So that is the only thing that I am saying. Mind is like, I want results right now. But most of the time, God will not deliver like that. And so that's why I ask people to have patience, be with God for 1 month, create the report card after 1 month. Okay.
If everything is predestined, then how do we gain freedom from what has been destined for us?
You will never get freedom. Humans were never meant to get freedom. Humans were meant to suffer. God has only said that I will reduce your suffering. God did not say I will totally nullify your suffering. Because for that, the storyline has to be changed, which God is not going to do. And mind will never ever be free from suffering because mind is designed to create suffering. Because I told you that even the king who is 100% mind and 0% consciousness is still suffering. And if the king is suffering, why should the humans feel they are not suffering? I mean, why would the humans expect that they can become free from their suffering?
So let's have one more live caller, Dr. Anita. Please unmute yourself.
Yes.
Thank you so much for the precision with which you have answered the queries. I don't know.
Anita, your voice
Hello.
is breaking
I
up.
was having doubts. Actually, I'm traveling, so there is a drip in the signal. Is this fine? Can I talk?
Continue. I am able to
Hello.
hear bits and pieces. Continue.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The query, how do I establish a connection with God? And is it possible to change my storyline? When we say that with grace of God, can I change the storyline to help
You will not.
myself?
You will not be able to change your storyline with the grace of God. That
Yes, sir.
will continue. And first you asked me how to connect with God. That I had already answered. Do the mantra, read the book,
Yeah, I'm
talk to
doing
the
it.
book, do the protocol at the end of the book. So
Yeah.
these are the ways you can, and if you are traveling and the book is not with you, you can have a healing card or a digital
I'm
imprint
having,
of the healing card. Talk to that digital
yeah,
imprint.
I'm having 10 books in my home. I'm just keeping there with me. I'm not
Okay.
sure how do I take my family along with me. And because they are into that space, now convincing and coming this side, I just left it, let the God decide whatever he has to decide for
Okay.
me.
The only problem is they will ask you what is the proof? And the proof is
Exactly.
after 30 days. The proof is after 30 days.
Okay. And is that the God has come to you for the first time, or did he come to anyone else before? Is that what we are
God is
talking about?
saying,
Is a divine energy?
God is saying God has come to me for the first time. 600 years back, Son of God came whose name was Kabir. But Kabir's teachings have today been totally changed. Only fragments of it are true.
And were you able to establish the truth which we are seeking?
There is no truth. God is truth.
That's what. Did you experience the truth? Is my question.
I have not experienced God. I talk with God, but I have zero experience of God.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Let's have another live question. Anya, please unmute yourself. Okay, I think she dropped. Okay. Manjeet, please unmute.
Namaste, I'm here. Can I speak?
Yes, please.
Namaskaram. Thank you, Pradip
Namaskaram.
ji, Pradip sir, for your role that you're playing. I have read the book like 3 weeks ago and I see changes, I sense changes. And yesterday I read something which I want to ask you. How do we know why this matrix is here, who created, and how do we understand its purpose?
Okay. So matrix was created by the king. It is the mind of the king. And the way the matrix was created was it was created through a series of laws. And these laws basically govern everything and every creation within the matrix, starting from the movement of the planets solar systems, galaxies, and everything. When the king was pushed out, the king was pushed out with 21 universes, but none of these universes had any stars or any sun. The universes was not in motion. After it was pushed out, the king created the motion of the universe. Because without creating the motion of the universe, creation was not possible. And once he set everything in motion, which means set all the planets into motion, some of the planets he made stars or sun, and then he created movement around the stars, created movement around the greater star, which we call as the galaxy, created the movement of the galaxies, which we call as the universe. And like that, the king has 21 universes. All these movements actually started creating a life force, and using this life force to a lesser or greater extent started the creation of everything else on this universe. So that is where the matrix comes in. But there is another component to the matrix, which is known as the Maya. Maya means the hypnosis. Unless the hypnosis is there, the matrix alone cannot function. The hypnosis delivers the experience that happens for each species as they go through their life journey or life cycle. It is the hypnosis that delivers all our experiences. Without the hypnosis, we cannot have our experiences. Minus hypnosis, if we move through our storyline, we will have zero experience. We need the hypnosis to have our experience. So between the matrix and between the hypnosis, ultimately was created the grand landscape called life. And that is in very short I have answered.
Thank you, sir. May I ask another question?
Yes, please.
I have been living for the past 20 years in Tiruvannamalai, very close to Ramana Ashram. I call it my home. I sensed when I first stepped foot on Arunachala soil, it felt home. So it is somehow from my upbringing, I'm just now also in Germany. My parents are German Protestants, so there was no much ritual around my belief. And I always referred to God, not to his messengers like Jesus Christ, any other. So when I see Ramana Maharishi, I relate to him as someone who has realized God, who has experience, which we don't know, he can't tell us. But I heard you in one of the videos that I watched that you said even his experience, his teaching, his emanation is within the realm of matrix, and it's not also it won't bring us to God.
True. Whatever Ramana experienced was delivered to Ramana. He did not orchestrate it. That is the first thing you have to understand. Whatever conclusions he made because of the experience was given to him. He did not rationalize it. He cognized it, and every cognition is delivered from outside. It is not one goes through rational thinking to come to a conclusion. So his experience was given from outside, his conclusions were given from outside, and his belief that he can help people by asking them, go into the question of who am I, was also his delusion. It's a very harsh word to use, but it was Ramana's delusion that he can help people by putting them into an inquiry as to who that person truly is. You cannot help any person in this universe. So these are the three things. Once you get about Ramana, suddenly every halo that person has around him being the enlightened master, and I'm not questioning, he is the enlightened master, but him being able to really guide people, no, he cannot guide anyone, because no one can guide anyone. Because I already say,
I guess it was never his intention. It was what people wrote and what they recorded and what he maybe
that
has
is-
said to one
Yes,
person
because
at
I
one
did
time.
not, because I did not meet him. I am only speaking through what has been written about him.
Understand.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There are 3 questions on the chat from one person. I'll read them one by one. What is ultimate beyond enlightenment? If it is not in our storyline, how can we achieve it?
What is beyond enlightenment is, okay, let me then give you a little more. I told you that enlightenment happens when your 2 bodies are activated, but actually that is not enlightenment. We call that liberation or moksha. Liberation or moksha is not enlightenment. Enlightenment goes much beyond that. When your 3rd energy body gets activated, what you now have is awareness, a greater awareness of everything. I'm giving you in very short answers. Once your 4th body is active, 4th energy body is activated, what you now have is known as Siddhi. Siddhi means you now have the power to play with the laws of the universe. Once your 4th body gets activated, and once your 5th body gets activated, which is truly about spiritual enlightenment, now you are truly enlightened, which means you neither care about peace, you neither care about bliss, you neither care about awareness, neither you care about all the powers that you have. You have kind of come to a full stop. You do not care about anything about within the human domain and outside of the human domain. You have come to a place of perfect stillness. This is a journey that can happen within the human domain, and it can happen beyond the human domain. Like within the human domain, you can have your 2 bodies activated, and rest of the 3, you can get it activated in the spiritual domain. So this is just like very fast I went through it just to give an answer. I don't know how much of it will make sense. Thank you.
The second question is, if storyline is written by soul, why soul writes such a story which is full of suffering?
If you have read the book, then you will come to understand the only purpose of a human is to create food for God, for the king. And this king is, I've already told you who this king is, so I'll not go into that. And the food can only be created through suffering. And that is why the souls have a clear directive. You can be as imaginative as you want to be, but no matter what story you write, it has to create suffering and suffering and suffering. Very clear directive. And so every human storyline creates suffering and nothing but suffering.
The next question is, it is told that God is there in every particle. God is everywhere. It is beyond time. Is it the same God that you're talking about as Supreme God?
No, Supreme God is not in this universe, not in every. You see, from where did this concept come that God is in every particle? This concept came from a Hindu concept of Upanishads, where they say everything is Brahman and the whole world shows up in the Brahman, and Brahman is in every particle. Now, what exactly is this Brahman? No one got any clarity. But actually what Brahman is matrix, which means in another way, they are saying that matrix is in every particle in this universe. And if matrix is in every particle in this universe, what did the Vedas say? Vedas said is Brahman is God. They did not accept any other God, but they said Brahman is God. And then they said that when Brahman goes into the human being, it becomes the Atman, which means now you have a God inside you. And then they say, Brahman is in every particle, in every sand particle, in every atom, in every leaf, in every insect. And then they say, Brahman is there means God is also in them. That is how these concepts actually arose. But all of them are misconceptions. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Let's have a live caller. Rajni, can you unmute yourself? Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, good evening, sir. It is
Yes,
definitely a
good
little
evening.
confusing to go through the content what was written by you, but definitely it's an invitation to many of us who have been working on a lot of spiritual classes and all that, so-called spiritual classes. So my first question would be like, when will your live class be so that we can attend in person and experience certain things which we have, I think we have lost, all of us, quite good amount of time in hunting for the God. So is there any live classes which you will be doing? We can attend in person?
Unfortunately, God has stopped the classes. We had 3-day classes, and those classes were very good, very brilliant. We exhaustively went into so many questions, and everything that is in the book, we talked so much more. But now there is no chance of the classes happening. And God says we don't need the classes. What you need is God, basically. No more intellectual discussions. Just be with God. Just do the mantra. Let the grace of God come and gently transform your life. And that's what matters.
So, but when
Okay.
everything is predefined, everything is scripted, written, then what is our role here, sir? I know in the book you mentioned, just have to go through it. But what is that? We are value addition to reduce our karmic baggage, sir, here.
You cannot do it. It is God's work to reduce your karmic baggage. So don't bother about your karma anymore. You are not creating any new karma. Your old karmas are getting diluted. And by the time you die, you will have no karma left. This is going to be your last life.
So how do we, means as a pointer, I can't just say pointer, but is there anything where we know that our karmic thing is reduced?
You don't need to know, because there is no thermometer with which you can measure that how much your karmic baggage is going down.
So any tips to brighten our two bodies, our first two bodies? How do we work on it?
No, you will not, because because the first body is already with God, so you have no access to the astral body, and you cannot activate your second body also. Those things forget. Now only thing is complete your life.
Okay.
Huh?
What are these astral projection classes and all the tips and tricks what they've been teaching and telling us, like this is how we can do an
Yeah,
astral
you can do
projection?
astral projection, but nowadays what will happen is it is your mental body who will do the astral projection, because mental body has taken over the role of the astral body.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, another question from the chat. I have seen in some YouTube videos that our Earth and total humanity is shifting to the 5th dimension in the near future. Is it true that 5th dimension shift is happening?
If that happens, no one will be alive in their physical body, because your physical body can only sustain you in the 3rd dimension. It cannot sustain you in the 4th or in the 5th. So forget about it. You have to die in order to go to the 5th dimension.
Another question in the chat, is there a particular way to keep a tab in the way shifts are happening around me? How do I notice?
Probably others will tell you how you are becoming different. Don't keep a tab. Others will tell you.
Another question, does this imply that there will be a change in the situation or my perspective after a month, provided I do the mantra regularly?
I am not going to tell you what is going to happen, because if 1,000 people does it, the shift is totally different in each of those 1,000 people. What it will be in your case, you have to discover when it happens.
Another question, where is Kabir now?
Well, he's frankly, I do not know.
Okay. Another question, what is hope then? If we are born to suffer, then what gives us hope to live to our fullest and help others to do that? The only thing to hold on is to accept our fate, since nothing is in our control.
If you can accept it, then accept it. If you cannot accept it, then release it. Release your resistance, release your resentment, release you're not able to go through life. Whatever it is that is creating your suffering, bit by bit release and come to some kind of sanity.
Camelia, did you want to ask your question live? If you want to unmute yourself, please ask your question.
I forgot my question.
You said, what is the continuation for the planet from that kind of person?
Oh, yes. No continuation. But what is the contribution for the planet? If people do not care, they enter so much inside, and there is no suffering, but no contribution.
If you want to contribute to the planet, it's a game you can play. It's only a game. The planet does not require the contribution of any human. The planet knows how to clean itself. The planet knows how to reboot. The planet knows how to throw out all the dirt in the planet. The planet knows everything. The planet is much more capable than any human is. But it is a game you can play and assume that you are making a contribution to the planet. The planet needs no contribution. Everything starts, everything gets destroyed, everything again restarts. It is a cycle that has been going on again and again, and it will continue to happen.
Yeah, I was not clear. What I meant, contribution for the life on the planet, humans, animals, everything. For example, how we humans will contribute to one another. What will happen with humans when we don't care?
I'm not saying don't care. On the contrary, the best contribution is not to create problems for the humans. If every human stops creating problems for others, that will be the best contribution. The second thing is, in the name of caring, people actually try to control and manipulate others. When you deliver aid to countries, you want them to dictate certain terms on them. When you try to go and help others, you expect that they should reciprocate and be nice to you and say thank you. But you are creating your own suffering because many times they will not thank you. So if you can contribute without expecting any thank, without expecting any reciprocation, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Someone is asking how to release.
That is written in the book. I will not go into it here. Okay, let me go into it. Release, but unless you read the book, it will not going to happen. You have to complete the book. The releasing is very simple. It is just that you pick up a issue. And the issue could be anything, that you have got a headache, or you are angry, or you are jealous, or you are scared, or whatever your issue be. And all you say, I'm angry. May I have your grace, God? And just leave it there. Watch what happens. If after some time your anger is still there, again say, I'm angry. May I have your grace, God? Just keep doing that. And over a period of 30 days, you will start noticing the shift showing up in your life. This is the very basic releasing that God has given now. Next.
Thank you, sir. Is eating non-veg a sin? Can we eat non-veg or should we stop?
No, eat whatever you love to eat.
It is said that there is Turiya or Tiryatit, beyond Turiya state, which is beyond time. Which is that state?
You see, Turiya just means that you are neither sleeping nor having a deep sleep, neither in deep sleep nor in dream nor in the waking state. That's what they call it, Turiya. They didn't really know what it is, so they just gave it a name called the fourth. Okay. Now, basically, this fourth means you are now an observer of life. And they said you are that. And what is Turyatit, which means beyond the Turya, means you are now beyond the observer, which means you are in a blissful state. You have even lost self-consciousness. You are in pure bliss. These are all theoretical stuff. Very few experience this. Even if they experience it, they cannot remain stabilized in that experience. But just to give you an understanding, Turya means observer. Turyatit means blissful. A very, very rough answer I'm giving you. Of course, there will be books written on these two, tons and tons of them, and the gurus will be teaching you and giving you discourses over the whole days. This is the bottom line, what I have delivered.
Thank you, sir. Let me take a live caller. Hi, Nishtha, you can unmute yourself.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So my question is related to the release statement. One of the statements is the consciousness that I have not creating my dominant reality. So what does dominant reality mean here?
Dominant reality means the experience of life that you are currently having. That is your dominant reality. And that experience of life is driven by your mind and not by the consciousness from God. And because it is driven by your mind, it is more creating suffering for you, and it is within the realm of wanting something or in the realm of some fear. So that is your dominant reality. Next.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Natasha, let me unmute you. Yes, please unmute yourself and speak. Natasha, go ahead, please. Natasha, just unmute yourself. You're muted, dear. Just unmute yourself. Yeah, go ahead. Please speak. Okay, so till then, okay, hold on. Yeah, unmute now. Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
go
yes,
ahead.
yes, please speak.
Hello, sir. I wanted to ask about illnesses. What do you think about cancer? Why do people get it? Because it's their soul journey.
Every major illness that we have comes from our storyline, not a soul journey. Souls do not get cancer. Humans get it. Souls write it. So it
Yes,
comes
so I
from the
remember.
storyline.
Okay, fine. But I remember in one of your calls, you said that God will not say live. If you have an illness, you should die. So you suggest that the person should not do any treatment or anything, or what? Just leave it the way it is.
Up till now, the 2-3 cases which I checked with God, God said, don't do anything. It's better you die.
and they were okay with it.
that-
Matlab, it's
You see, everyone is going to die today or tomorrow. Why unnecessarily complicate your life and create all kind of pain and suffering before you die? Just because you want to live another 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. And let me tell you one thing. 2 examples I give you around cancer. The first time that God told that lady that do not do anything, that lady did not do anything. And right in front of that lady, there was another lady who also got cancer. That lady went through chemo, that lady went through all kind of treatments and everything, suffered miserably, and in the end was able to live for 3 years, and then she died after all the treatment. This lady to whom God said, don't do anything, she did not take any cancer drugs, only symptomatic certain pain or some drugs only she took. And she is still alive after 5 years. And she is okay. I mean, the cancer is still there. It is spreading. It may not be spreading. She doesn't even go to check. She says, I will die when I die. I do not want to go to the doctors. There was another case that recently happened. And this time the lady again came and asked me for her husband that my husband is having cancer. Can you, what is it that God is saying? And when I checked with God, God said, no, don't do anything. Just take symptomatic drugs. Now, this lady was so scared. She went through all the doctors, she went through all the treatments and everything. And last I heard, within 4 months, the doctors have beautifully pushed that person into ICU. Now, if that person, I do not know whether that person will be coming out of ICU and living or what, but that person has gone through miserable experiences of life. These are the 2 things I noticed when people followed and did not follow the will of God. But basically, God says, just die as fast as you can, but not suicide. Just complete your storyline. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Are you still there? Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so
Keshav, please unmute yourself. Hi, Keshav.
Keshav seems to be
Am I audible?
muted.
Yes.
Yes, now I can hear you.
Am I audible?
Yes.
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 Sir,
We can hear you.
Sir, who we are and what is the real purpose of life?
Who we are and what is the real purpose of life? That is your question?
Hello? Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir. What is the real purpose of life?
Okay. What is the real purpose of life is only one thing, to create the food for the king so that the king can remain alive. That is the real purpose of life. Other than that, there is no purpose to life. Everything else is written in the storyline and we act accordingly. The storyline and there are who are orchestrating the storyline. They ensure that we follow through the storyline and all those things are there. So that is the answer. And first question. Okay, who we are? Okay, let me tell you. We are a body, we are a mind, we are a set of energy bodies, we are spirit. That's just briefly telling you who we are.
Sir,
Okay.
Let me ask one question
From the
chat. Can these so-called deities, angels, existing mantras contribute towards getting grace of God?
No, they cannot. They cannot. Only God's mantra will contribute to getting the grace of God. Okay.
Sirisha, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi. Namaste. I
Hi.
just wanted to know, is it possible for us to have a direct conversation with God like like what we normally talk and have guidance and daily guidance? Is it possible for us to go to that level?
It is possible, but first thing you have to master some kind of biofeedback mechanism. Otherwise, you will not be able to check. Second thing, in the beginning, you create your questions in such a way that you will get your answer in yes and no. Third thing, check that the answers came from God and not from your mind. So
how can we check that?
Again, that biofeedback mechanism is what gives you the answers. Google biofeedback, many kind of biofeedbacks are there. Choose the one that suits you.
Is that mentioned in the book as well?
No, I don't teach biofeedback.
Okay, so where do we pick that up from then?
You can talk with some of the people. You can talk with Nilofer and Nipam and Sonal, and of course many are there. They will teach you or they will guide you.
Okay,
and
because
there
I'm
are classes.
first time
There are
attending, so I
classes.
don't know many people. So
Okay,
just
fine. Okay.
oh,
You came
pendulum
through
also
whom?
would be okay. Pendulum would be giving a right one.
Yeah, pendulum you can use. You can use the pendulum.
That would be
Okay.
yes or no, right?
Yes, yes or no.
Okay, so beyond that, we need to develop our biofeedback mechanism where we could get the real conversations going.
Even pendulum is a biofeedback mechanism.
But isn't that just yes or no?
Well, biofeedback is always yes and no.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So will meditation also take me to that stage?
No, it will not. Meditation takes you away from God.
Meditation?
Takes you away from God.
Really? First time I'm listening this. Thank you for saying
Meditation takes you to the God which is inside you. But unfortunately, your soul has already left or living, one of the two. So that God is not available to you.
So only God mantra will lead us there?
Only God's mantra will connect you with God and keep you connected with God.
Okay, thank you. I'm chanting that every day. So I just need to see how it goes. It's 21 days now.
Check it out after 1 month and see.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Another question in the chat. I'm chanting the mantra, but what if I want to be reborn as a human again? So then should I continue chanting the mantra?
Unfortunately, the moment you touch the mantra, now you cannot be reborn. No, you will not be able to be reborn, whether you do the mantra or you don't do the mantra. If you do the mantra, you can be connected with God. But if you don't do the mantra, fine. But you won't be able to take birth again.
Another question in the chat. If the souls go back, how will Kal continue to live?
Kal has already learned the art of creating non-souled beings. So Kal will have no problem.
Another question. I have watched your videos that you have worked with God for 8 years. The information which you have received from God during 8 years, it might be there in your notes. Have you shared this information in Google Drive, and how can we access the information?
Whatever informations the humans were supposed to get is already in the book. And anything that is not in the book, the humans are not supposed to get. If there are additional informations coming, keep checking the new videos that will come up. If ever they come up, you will come to know.
One last question, which is live, which is Neera. Hi, Neera, just unmute yourself.
Sir, I wanted to ask you, what do you think of, today we have so many modalities, whether it's healing, whether it's manifestation, right, from Reiki to, access consciousness and so many more, right? So what are they all about? If nothing changes within your storyline and you can't heal anyone, so what are So what are they promising then? What is your view?
You can get relief, because I told you there are two ways to get relief. One is through the mind and the other is through God. You can get relief through the mind through any of these modalities. Now, when I use the word mind, it includes what you call as consciousness, which, let's say, access consciousness. It is not consciousness, it is a mindset and morphic field. If you are talking about Reiki, it is energy. There are modalities which is around vibration. There are modalities which are around intention. There are modalities which are quantum. There are modalities which are heart-centered. Now, all these modalities are within the mind, and mind can give you relief.
Okay.
But mind will give you relief. God will give you beyond relief, which means God will start altering your experience of life by giving you a freedom which is about canceling your karma. No new karma is created, and you get relief from your attachments and aversions, and something beautiful shows up. And if you talk with probably 20 people who are with God, 20 people will tell you 20 different stories, and so your story will be yours. Only you will come to know.
Yeah. Is it possible
Is it
for
what?
any human being to heal another human being?
Yes, it is possible. But the human doesn't heal. The modality heals. The morphic field heals. The forces behind that modality heals. Not the human. The human never heals. Human has nothing in them with which they can heal. What is behind that human is what does the healing. Did you get it? What is behind the human that does the healing? No human can heal another human.
Okay.
Okay.
So therefore energy heals, right?
Yeah, it might be energy which is behind that healing. It can be a deity. It can be a morphic field. It can be masters. It can be angels. It could be many things.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Neera.
One question is, do we need to speak English when we ask for grace?
No. Use your own language. Whatever your language is, talk with God using that language. Next.
Okay, there is someone, let me see. Okay, yeah, Keshav. Just unmute yourself.
Sir, yes, sir. Yeah, thank you, sir, for your time, sir. And a lot of clarity I have received today. Just one thing, sir. You mentioned that actually there might be some disturbance because I'm driving right now. You mentioned that Kabir was God's son, and when Kabir took birth, he used to do Nam Japa of Ram. So is Ram the real God, and we should also do Nam Japa of Ram?
Kabir told about the four gods, and he said that the lowest god, he referred to that as the son of Dashrath, which means all deities. The second god, he said, is that which is within us, which is the soul. The third god he referred to as which is everywhere. Basically, he was pointing to the matrix, which actually was pointing to the king. And the fourth god, he says, is extraordinary because he did not speak much about the fourth god, but he did speak a lot about the third, about the king. So this one is just a gist of what Kabir gave. And as far as the Nam Jap is concerned, no, do not, if you do the Nam Jap of Ram, you are actually ultimately being in the domain of the king.
Okay, sir, Kabir also was doing Ram Jap only. The mantra he took from his
But-
guru was Ram Ram.
But for Kabir, there was only one Ram and the rest were all not Ram. First, you have to understand that. There is only one Ram. The rest are not Ram. The rest are either deities or the soul or the king. People have not understood Kabir totally for the simple reason that his teachings are totally destroyed now. People are interpreting his teachings on the basis of their own limited understanding. I do not interpret, I ask God and I tell you what God tells me. I do not use my mind. Okay?
Yes, sir. And sir, it is said that Ik Omkar Satnam means Om is the real energy and the real mantra. Om. What is your
This
say on
Omkar,
that, sir?
this Omkar is actually the king. That
Okay, this
word
is all.
Om, this is of the king. He said that take my name and my name is Omkar.
Okay.
Okay? But it is of the king. Yes, Nilofer.
Okay, Amol, please unmute yourself.
Hello.
Yeah, can you speak louder?
You have to,
Hello. Hello. Good evening, sir.
good evening, but a little louder or near the microphone.
Am I audible now?
Yes, better. Please continue.
Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Sir, actually, question is, I have got access to your mantra of God. Okay. I have got
Okay.
the access of your mantra of God. So even if I am getting access to that God's mantra, that means this is my last birth, no? According to the
Yes.
storyline.
Yes.
Like having
Not
access,
according
getting
to the
access.
not according to the storyline, according to the grace of God.
Okay, okay. That means this is not in my storyline. Like
No,
getting the.
this is not in your storyline.
Okay. And one more thing, how can I get rid of the karmic baggage that I have accumulated over these past
You
lifetimes?
you don't bother about it. That is God's job. He will do it. Just don't bother about it.
Actually, I'm always, I have a desire. I have a great desire to get enlightened and to get rid of this birth and death cycle. But I'm not getting
That
any
is
solution for that.
the solution is already there. This is your last life.
Okay, okay, okay. And one more thing, sir.
Yes.
Now, like other deities are there, like Swami Samad, Sai Baba. How are these? Are these enlightened beings or are they also deities?
They are basically ascended masters.
Yes, yes. So are they also free from life and death cycle or are they alive?
They were not, but currently they are. Because they choose God, they are now free.
Okay, okay. And worshipping them will make me free from that or not?
Worshipping them is like worshipping nothing. You are either worshipping the king or you are worshipping or God. So between that, you have to make a choice. And I'm not saying make a choice. I'm saying continue with whatever you are continuing, but keep God within you, which is just do the mantra.
Okay. And if the mantra is recited some more times, like unintentionally, or if can I recite the mantra for more times?
Two, three more is okay, but don't try to do any more.
Okay, okay. All right, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, do you want to take more questions or are we coming to the end of?
No, bring them. I can go for another 10 minutes.
Okay. So what is your take on access consciousness bars? Can one practice it in tandem with God's mantra? And what is morphic field?
Morphic field, do a Google search. It is very clear. My take on access consciousness is just a take I have on all healing modalities, which is they are fun to play with. If you want to play, continue to play. It's a good time pass thing, but do not expect much out of access consciousness, or for that matter, any modality. It is a good time pass.
So what technique should we use to heal others as per God's message?
First, heal yourself and then use the same technique to heal others.
Sir, can you talk more about the technique?
The technique has become so simple that it doesn't need much to be talked. It just says that there is an issue. Understand what the issue is, become aware of the issue, just use, may I have your grace, God. That's one way to do it. The other way to do it is, God, I'm constantly suffering from migraine for last so many days or years. Can you please take care of it? This is another technique. Talking to the God or doing the releasing. So it's so simple that I really cannot keep going on it. Had it been complex, I could have gone a lot on it.
Thank you, sir. Another question is, are there books available in regional languages?
Up till now, we have in Hindi, but we will be coming out with Tamil, no, not Tamil, Telugu and Gujarati, and let's see. We will see the other languages.
What happens to people who do God's mantra after death?
Nothing happens. Your body will be burned. That's all.
What happens
After that, nothing happens.
after death? When you do the mantra, what will happen after
This
that?
is your last life, so don't worry. Okay.
One more question. Ultimately, I want God, and also I want to get activated all 5 bodies which you have talked about. Is it possible to have both God and activation of 5 bodies?
It is not possible. As such, it is not in the storyline of that person to get any activation. So it is as such not going to happen, God or no God. At least have God.
You spoke about biofeedback and some people are teaching it, but can I get God's grace in finding the right teacher that would teach in a way that you do it? How to use it to sense if the message is from God?
I cannot teach you. What I do is basically known as muscle testing using the fingers. If you Google muscle testing, there are videos showing how to do it. And if you Google biofeedback, they shows all the techniques of biofeedback. So explore.
Sir, I think we have come to the end of all questions. Thank
Are
you.
there anyone else needs to talk with me? Just raise your hand. I'm still around.
Anita Sachdev is raising her hand.
Anita, okay.
Yes, Anita, you're unmuted.
Thank you, Telu sir, again.
Hello.
I have a question. You mentioned, I think in some of the other talks, that somebody asked about dancing, learning music, or anything Hindustani classical, and you said it's not required, don't do it. I think some point it said, don't do it. Someone said you can do it sometime, or it's not important. Now we live in this world. Everything we access, as you said, the creation is by call, whether it's our food, we live in homes, we work, we study, we've gone to universities. It's part of this particular world that we are part of. So how do we know what we should access and what we should not access then?
Access everything that you love to access.
So if I
and
want
do
to learn
everything that you
dancing,
love
it's
to do.
okay?
It's okay.
Okay. So you access
Yes.
what you feel gives you joy, is what you're saying?
Let me tell you one thing about God. The directives keep on changing. Sometimes
right.
we say don't, and
Okay.
sometimes we say do. Now always go
Okay.
into the latest video.
Okay.
And currently it is do everything that you love to do.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it.
Okay. Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shirisha, please unmute yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, so
I
my
notice Angela is there if she wants to talk, and Sana is there if she wants to talk, and Tess is there if she wants to talk. Okay. Yeah, I'm with you, ma'am. Please continue.
Okay, can I
Yes,
ask?
Sirisha?
Yes.
Please ask.
Yeah. So my first question is that I am chanting the God mantra every day. So I also chant Hanuman Chalisa and other things. Is that okay to do along with this, or is it only necessary?
It's okay to do. It is okay to do.
Okay. And second thing,
But eventually you will not want to do.
Oh, is it?
Eventually you will not want to do. When your consciousness starts going up, you will start dropping everything that belongs to the king.
Okay, it happens automatically.
But wait for that day. Wait for that day.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Till
Yeah,
then, continue.
Yeah. So another thing you said, continue for 30 days. So, okay, when we continue chanting God mantra, even after that also for a lifeline thing, or there is a
Of
limited
course, we
period?
do it for lifetime. 30 days is to decide whether you want to drop or continue.
Okay. So and what would be based on the decision? What would the decision be based on
If you
after
find
30
no
days?
change, if you find no change in your life, then drop it.
Okay. And if I want to, I choose to, I could continue doing it.
Of course, yes.
Thank you. Second thing is you have given a few healing things at the end, right? About some issue and having that.
Yes.
May I have your grace card? Is it in particular time, or we can ask whenever we feel like asking?
Whenever you feel like.
I could repeat the same issue again and again?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, Sana, please unmute yourself.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I have been doing the mantra since 20 days, and I had the privilege to even meet you. What I'm observing is, sir, that I'm losing the drive. I was a very driven person, and maybe that was creating my suffering. And now I'm like so chilled out. I don't know whether it's a good thing or bad thing, but this is what I wanted to share. It's not a question,
Okay.
but yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Basically, this in your case, this is the way grace of God is showing up, which means instead of being hyperactive, you're now chilling out a little more. And in your hyperactiveness, you did mess up your life in certain areas of life. And as you are chilling out, let life sort it out as it needs to sort it out. And I know you are going through certain challenges, but let's see how those challenges get sorted out in due course of time. Okay? Thank you.
Lavanya, please unmute yourself.
Sir?
Yes.
Sir, on compassionate grounds, I stopped eating non-vegetarian food 7 years back, and I never developed any craving also till now. But after getting into this path and after coming to know that it is not a sin, my mind is like oscillating now. But after I stopped eating, I saw some good changes in my body also. And on exploring food a lot, I saw many people after changing their diet, their health improving. So how can we see this, sir?
But you have already stopped eating for 7 years. Are you telling me that you want to go back to eating, or what you are telling me?
I don't want to go back to eating, but I started, I was not giving my daughter also to eat non-vegetarian food, even if she sometimes asks to eat it. because I was thinking that it is a sin. But now, since you're saying that it is not a sin, I'm not sure if I should give her, or considering the health improvements I saw in her body, I should
Let me
stop
put it
giving her.
Let me put it this way. I'm not talking in the perspective of sin or not sin. I'm talking in the perspective of our body is more suitable for plant-based food than for animal-based food. But there are certain cultures who have for generations eaten animal-based food and they can easily digest animal-based food. They have those acids and enzymes to digest those foods. So look back into the culture in which we lived in, and maybe for us, a plant-based food might be more better than an animal-based food. So I'm talking in terms of practicality. I'm not talking in terms of morality. Do I make
Okay,
myself clear?
yes, sir. Very clear.
Thank
I
you.
have one more question, sir.
Yes, yes.
So after being a very serious person, a very studious, very sincere in everything I do, I've been through a lot of suffering, and then I've come out of almost everything. I've resigned my jobs. I live in a farm, in a peaceful way and all that, and I'm homeschooling my daughter. And now and then I used to worry about her future and all that, and I doubt whether homeschooling her is right or wrong. But after coming into this path, I feel like let the day go. Don't even think about what's gonna happen and all that. Just teach her whatever is required for the daily living. Is this a right path to proceed, sir? I'm just
I would
concerned
not,
about.
I'm not talking about right and wrong. I'm just giving you the perspective of both homeschooling and going to the regular schools. When you are homeschooling, you are actually allowing your child not to be contaminated with many of the things which currently the world is contaminated with. That is number one. Number two, by depriving your child from going into the regular schools, you are making your child weak in the sense your child is not going through the bullying, your child is not going through the harassment, your child is not going through rejection, your child is not going through everything that happens or the politics of their students, the shouting of the teachers, which means the child is not receiving all kind of stress because these are the things which builds up the muscle of the child to live in the world. Now this is what like this in the Western world, in certain European countries, they are very careful about their environment. It is very sterile, it is germ free. They are generally never sick, but the moment they start traveling, they fall sick because they do not have the capacity to withstand the attack of the germs. So with the homeschooling, your child will be very good as long as your child remains in an isolated state as an adult. If you want your child really to go out into the world and make a living and everything else, then it's better your child gets the hammering of the public schools and then learn how to withstand those hammerings, get the strength to deal with it, and then they will be much fitter in the adult state. That is just an understanding or perspective I have given you. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Sir, people are asking if you can give the mantra.
But everybody has the mantra, na? Isn't everyone?
Not everyone, sir.
Not everyone?
Let me just go through the chat and check once. There are few who don't have, sir.
Then there are two things I'll need. Number one, I need the mantra on the screen.
I have it.
But then the question comes, are the people here comfortable with that Sanskrit mantra or they are with the English mantra? Because I won't give the English mantra.
You will give the English mantra, sir, or Sanskrit?
No, the Sanskrit one.
Sanskrit one. Few people may not be comfortable.
Okay, then put the English mantra. I'll give the English one.
Okay, sir. Just give me
because I don't practice. Okay, just put it on.
Sir, till you answer a question, till I put that on.
Okay, then put someone on or
yeah.
let
Hi,
Sonal
Beena.
or Nipam ask.
Beena, unmute yourself. Yeah, go ahead, Beena.
Beena, you can unmute yourself and ask.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
No, actually, I didn't want to ask anything. I was just chatting.
Okay. Hi and bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Sir, I have it. I can put it on screen now.
Okay, just Amol is asking, please unmute me. He seems to have a burning question. Amol Lahare.
Yeah.
Yes, Amol, you can unmute yourself.
And then Mahadevan Chris is also saying he wants to ask. Amol, yes, Amol.
Yes, sir. I have a question. Actually, if this is my last birth, what should be my perspective towards earning money and my career? What should
You
be my
need
perspective?
money.
What is my yes?
Do the best and earn the maximum that you can.
No, Miss, you're telling me that this is my last birth. So what will I do of money then?
You will enjoy. You can buy a bigger car, bigger house, whatever you want to do. Travel.
Should we be materialistic or not? I'm asking that. Should we be
God doesn't
materialistic?
care. God doesn't care.
Okay, okay.
You're getting
Okay,
it.
and one more question, sir.
Answering very short and precise.
Okay, I'm going one more question. Now, what should be my perspective in raising my child?
Give him the freedom to choose whatever he wants to choose.
Okay, okay. Thank you so
And
much, sir.
support him emotionally. Support him emotionally. Support him logistically.
Okay, okay. All right, sir.
Okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Amita,
Anyone else?
Amita is
Yeah.
there. She wants to ask.
What doesn't care about
Amita.
Amita or Anita? Hold on.
Amita.
Anita.
She's
Okay.
on.
Can I ask?
Yes.
Can I ask? Yeah. So good evening,
Yes,
sir.
yes.
It's so nice to
Good
hear
evening.
all
Yes.
your answers. And I'm a little curious about your perspective on healing, because you said all healing is time pass. So since you said everything is storyline, isn't that a storyline too? And if it is not a storyline, then what makes it time pass? And what does doctors have a role to play? If everybody have to die, then I think the doctors should not exist as a profession.
You are complete with your questions?
Yeah, I want to have some clarity
Okay.
and perspective on this. Thank you, sir.
I have a very memory problem. So the first question you asked is what was the first question? Amita is again muted. Unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll repeat it. I understand. So one is the statement that all healing is time pass. I agree with you.
Yes.
But at the same time, everything is a storyline. So
Yes.
you can also say healing is a storyline.
Yes.
Correct? So I
Now,
sense that.
so I'll just stop you here. So let me answer this, then we go into the doctor's part. A person becomes a healer, a good healer, only because of the storyline. Others come and dabble and then they leave. They cannot take it up as a profession, or they cannot take it up in a long-term mode. So it is the storyline that decides whether healing will be a part of your profession or part of your hobby. For others, they will come, touch base, and then they will leave because they will not get results. The results again will show up depending on your storyline. If your storyline says you have to be a very good healer, you will get very good results. If your storyline says that you will be financially benefiting from your healing professions, you will get those clients who will be willing to pay you money for all your healing, and they will in turn bring other clients to you who will in turn contribute to the money that they are paying you. Everything is decided by the storyline. For others, where it is not written that they would be a healer, they would come to the class, learn, play with it for a few days, get no results, go back again to some other modality, or drop this whole profession of healing. That is as far as healing and storyline is concerned. The second question you asked is, what is the role of the doctors since everything is in the storyline? Okay, please ask me.
Sorry if I'm interrupt, because I wanted to continue one more question on the subject of healing, because somewhere you mentioned healing is time pass. So whatever you shared about the healing currently, it's very resonating deep down. I connect with, and I'm grateful for the grace that you have bestowed here. I didn't get the healing is time pass, because I believe there are so many millions of people believing you now, and giving this as a statement is having its own consequences. That's my way of looking at it. So I just wanted, if you can guide with this context of explaining healing is a time pass. Maybe it may.
What is your problem with it being a time pass?
No,
Because so many people are suffering and they need healing.
No. It's just the way it has been put. So at some point, it's a very answer with a lot of depth. At some point, it's made very superficial, is what I perceive, and I'm being very frank about it. And may I have your grace? And may I have your grace here?
Even when I'm superficial, I'm very precise and I'm very concise and I'm very direct. Even in my superficiality, there is no confusion. In very small, with very short number of words, I put across the thing. I said healing is a time pass, which means you do it if you want to do, you don't do it if you don't want to do. If you enjoy doing it, have fun. If you don't enjoy doing it, drop it. That's what it means to be a time pass.
I got it now. So it's a choice whether you want to apply it or whether you don't, and how you apply it.
Yes.
So the word carried a different connotation for me, and hence I wanted to have a clarity on that.
Okay.
Yeah, you were discussing even about the doctors. So what is the role of doctors, if you may have to share, as how would they contribute or not contribute, even as a storyline? Or
I just want to know, are you a doctor?
Yes, I am a doctor.
Okay.
And I believe that I believe that it is not the doctor who treats, it's just about. So I resonate with a lot what you have shared. Anyway, it doesn't matter whether I resonate or not, because it's about what you have a perception or the God has a message. However, I do have
about 2 weeks back, I actually addressed 25 doctors. It was a 2-hour session. They wouldn't open their mouth when I kept on asking them, please ask me, please ask me. At the end, only one doctor opened his mouth and said that we have been taught that every ailment that a human has is nothing but chemical imbalance. And in your presentation, we do not see you ever talking about that. It seems you have a different perspective on why the illness happens. I said, yes, everything appears to be chemical imbalance. But the question is, who is creating this chemical imbalance? Number one. Number two, the same chemical imbalance in 10 people, why do they create 10 different results, 10 different experience of their body? So we are not kind of saying that your system and everything that you have been taught is wrong. Only thing we...
Please continue.
You
I'll
have raised
share
your
up.
hand.
Yeah, because I don't resonate with what the doctors are talking about. I completely get that every individual has their own individual response to recovery. So my personal perspective of being a doctor is I treat, he cures, and he here is God in the regular parlance. So I don't come from a
So
space that the disease is because of...
I'm replacing God with storyline.
Yeah, okay.
In the storyline, if that person is meant to be cured, that person will get cured. In the storyline, if that person is meant to go from hospital to hospital, that person will go from hospital to hospital. And in the end, if that person is meant to die with that disease, that person will die with that disease. There is no God anywhere. Just because people don't understand storyline, they bring in the word God.
I
Okay.
resonate. I got that perspective because some statements that I could not relate with, and I think I got clarity. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Back to you, Nilofer.
Sir, shall we do the mantra now? Or do you want to take more questions?
Let's take two more.
Okay, so
more.
Angela, go ahead, Angela.
Yes, now do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm so happy to see you, and I'm so happy that I saw last moment my email and dropped in. Do we get an recording of this meeting, Nilofer?
Yes.
Is it? Well, it's great. Question about the storyline. I understood now what you were talking about, the time of healing, because it was not clear for me what you mean. So either we do it or we leave it, correct? Either we start to heal or we don't do it, correct?
Correct. Either if you enjoy doing it, continue. If you don't enjoy doing it, drop it.
Okay, got it. About the storyline, my personal question. We were testing in Dubai about the reading. I got from the doctor an analysis and statement. He said, just stop to try to read. You will never be able to read. It's just a diagnosis. Is it really true? Shall I stop to try and leave it?
What is the problem?
That I mix up the figures. I don't bring them together, the capital letters. Remember, we were testing on my reading capacities.
There is not much you can do. So, but that also creates certain gifts in you which you can enhance and make your life a better experience.
So to stop to struggle, to suffer, that I cannot do it, correct?
You can do two things. Number one, you can struggle with trying to make that better. And number two, you can identify what are the other gifts you have and enhance those gifts. And thereby you will have a better experience of life. You can choose either.
Good. Thank you. Clear for me. Completely clear. Thank you.
Okay.
And somehow
you.
it's a relief. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Back to you, Nilofer.
One last question,
One
sir.
more question.
Yes, Manisha, go ahead.
Hello. Thank you for
Yes.
taking my call. And it's a wonderful presentation and a wonderful talk. And I'm so grateful. I received this email from Nipam to join today. My question is this. I've had a lot of struggles in my life in all areas. So a lot of betrayals from family, father, siblings, etc., ex-husband, and also on my health as well. I don't have a spleen, large intestine. How can I navigate I'm 65 years old. How can I navigate the rest part of my life with ease and joy and some happiness as well, please? Thank you.
I really do not know, Manisha, how you to navigate, okay? All I
Yes.
know is talk with God, do the
Mhm.
mantra, tell
Yes.
God all the issues that you are having, and over a period of 30 days, check out how is God supporting you to navigate.
Absolutely.
I cannot tell you the exact structure in which how you can navigate.
No, but this is I did actually. I'm not a healer. I'm a designer. But
You don't have to be healer
intuitively,
to be with
no,
God.
no. But intuitively, I've been very drawn to, like you said, use the mantra, 30 days, and see how things unfold. So this is like what you've said is a revalidation of the message I received earlier for myself.
Okay,
so I thank
that's
you.
good.
I thank you for this, and
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to using the mantra. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sir, one last question, if you will allow.
Okay.
Hi, Homa. Please unmute yourself. Yes, go ahead. You will have to speak louder.
Yes, good evening, sir. I received
evening.
your book on Sunday. I
Yes.
received your book on Sunday itself, and I have gone through these modalities of healing, and I have also met a person who used to speak to God from New Zealand,
Mm-hmm.
and we have uh, uh, law laws of the spirit world also. There is a book on laws of the spirit world. So I wanted to know
Yes.
what are those not comparing, but I just wanted to know what are those.
Everything in the spirit world is within the domain of the king. God comes from beyond the domain of the king. And every person who is claiming that they are talking with God, actually they are talking with one of the gods, either directly
Who
with the
say
king
that
or
they
someone.
speak to God. They have also spoken to God.
Yeah, they have spoken to God. That's why in my book I clarify that there are many gods. And unless you know all the gods, how will you know which God you are speaking to?
Uh-huh.
You need to have total clarity about all the gods. Otherwise, you won't know which God you are speaking with. Okay? Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, did I make myself clear?
Okay. Can you
Okay,
repeat
thank
it,
you.
sir, please? Can you
I
repeat
said that
your
when
answer?
people talk about that they are talking with God, the first thing my question is, do you know all the gods? Do you know everyone who is impersonating as God? Can you perceive clearly, distinctly each and every God? Because unless you can do that, how will you know that you are truly talking with God or not? Okay?
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you,
Okay.
Oma.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Would like to see you sometimes and meet you in person.
Let's see what God wills.
Yes.
Okay?
God will.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Back to you,
Thank you.
Nilofer.
Sir, is there any last thing that you want to leave us with?
The last saying is experience God through the grace of God, not directly God. Experience God through the grace of God and experience the life shifts that are going to happen for you through that grace of God, I'm again repeating, those shifts will not be within your expectations, will not be the way you want, yet it will be so beautiful that you will be thankful that you actually associated with God for at least 30 days and beyond if you want to. So that's all is my parting message to you all. Anything else?
Thank you so
Okay,
much,
thank
sir,
you
for being with us. We are so blessed to actually have you with us.
Right, thank you.
Thank you, sir,
So I
for
am now,
joining us.
thank you.
Thank you.
So I will
And
now log out and you complete whatever you need to complete. Okay?
okay.
Anything else before I log out?
Just wanted to thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
So
you.
then I am now logging out. Thank you, everyone.
Okay,
A
thank you.
pleasure to be with you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So, as we draw the curtains on this transformative session of the Graceful Freedom Pathway Summit, let the echoes of wisdom linger in your hearts. Remember, this is not the end, it's a new beginning, a catalyst for your personal change. Carry the insights gained, the connections made, and the sparks of inspiration ignited. As you continue your journey toward graceful freedom, until we meet again, may your path be illuminated with the radiance of newfound wisdom and boundless possibilities. Thank you all for being a part of this extraordinary experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much. The name of the book is Message from God, and you can get the book from the website alakgod.com, www.alakgod.com. And please reach out to us personally if you would like more information. Thank you, everyone. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.